I'm absolutely in love with Mirthwood. It's not a cozy game for the most part, but the art style, exploration, and creating a medieval homestead is so darn addicting that I've played over 30 hours in the past week. So today, I'm going to share my top 19 Mirthwood tips and tricks that I've learned after 33 hours in the game to help beginners avoid making the same mistakes I did. I'm going to go quickly. Please use the chapters below to skip around, and I'll try my best not to spoil too much. Let's hop to it. Here are 8 quick and dirty tips to get things started. You can't craft items unless you have the materials in your pockets. Having them in storage doesn't work. If you want to be good and holy with high morals, pay very close attention when looting around houses, as it's easy to accidentally steal items versus loot what's free without consequences. But if you are playing as a villain and don't mind the villagers saying you're a dirty crook, then go ahead and have sticky fingers. If you want your quest areas to show in yellow on your map, click on the quest within your journal. This seems to work with the A button on controller, but I know you can press the F key on keyboard to have a specific quest show in yellow, but this doesn't work on all quests. Once you discover campsites, you can interact with the sign next to them to activate the quick travel and use this to teleport to your farm and any of the camps you've discovered. It's super handy. Using Sprint, you can outrun all enemies if you don't want to fight. Make sure to visit the village pubs at every new location you discover and buy the recipe blueprints. They'll be sold at the same places that sell food and spirits. I can't show you because I've already bought them all, but if you hunt something that you can't yet cook, you likely need to buy the recipe. If your inventory gets too full while you're out exploring, just toss items on the ground and pick them up later because they don't seem to despawn. And when you're out exploring and see these smooth standing rocks, make sure to smack them with your sword. You'll have to figure out what they're for. Next, let's talk about chickens, as once you buy one rooster and a hen, they'll not only make eggs, well, I don't think the rooster makes eggs, but he'll breed like a rabbit, and soon you'll have a lot of chickens for meat and eggs. Your chickens will eat grass as long as you don't chop it all down, or you can put hay or animal feed in the trough. Save up for a coop like this that can house 6 chickens. Housing isn't necessary but increases happiness and looks cute. I keep 5 female chickens and 1 rooster in the coop and butcher extras after they're fully grown in a few days. All the offspring are females, so make sure not to butcher the big guy, but raw chicken is worth 14 gold and cooked is 22, so you can make 330 gold for butchering 1 chicken that only costs you the initial investment of buying the 2 starter chickens. Plus, you can eat them if you want, but you'll have plenty of eggs for that since they're worth less than meat. And make sure you remember to assign your chickens to their shelter. Early game, my favorite moneymakers were planting the crops that don't need replanted after harvesting, like potatoes, strawberries, grapes, peas, and corn. Once you harvest them, cook or process them further to make even more gold. Ferment the grapes in the barrels and use the kegs and casks to age them and other materials like honey into alcohol, which sells for quite a bit more. Eggs sell for 10 gold raw, but boil them in bulk and add 5 gold to each egg's selling price. After you upgrade your pickaxe, you can make trips to the mines for gems. Rubies are worth 100, amethyst and emerald are 125 and 135, and diamonds sell for 300 gold. But I still think crops and chickens are the best early game moneymakers. When you chop wood on your farm, don't cut the tree stumps down unless you want that tree to respawn elsewhere. And it might even take longer to respawn. Just chop the tree, leave the stump, and it'll be back in a couple days. If you enter build mode, you can move the big trees around since they're decoration, and you can even remove them and sell them, though you won't get much for them. By the way, you can visit Agatha's hut and garden shop to buy new trees and shrubs. This is just northwest of your farm. And south of your farm is an orchard in town where you can snag some free fruit when in season. Here are some of my favorite tips and spots to find particular resources. And remember, you do have a small resource guide that can get you started. Iron has by far been my biggest bottleneck, as you'll need it for upgrading weapons and crafting machines and storage chests. The marsh area south of your farm has a fair bit of iron that will respawn, and you can also harvest iron in the mine way up north. I have a feeling they'll add more iron to the game in future updates, as it's never enough currently. I highly advise heading to the blacksmith shop just south of your farm every couple days and buying all the iron that's for sale. Remember, you'll need the furnace to turn the ores into bars, and note that you'll also need iron bars as well as charcoal, which you get from a kiln, to make steel. And trust me, you'll want to upgrade from a copper to a steel pickaxe and axe as soon as possible. When it comes to wood, there are a lot of tiny trees you can chop on your farm and a few small trees around the map, but make sure to hoard the wood on your farm and chop it as often as you can, as you'll need a ton of it for crafting and upgrades. Hardwood is found in the big stumps on your farm. There's also an extra area on the left side of your farm that has more hardwood as well as herbs, and I've found a lot of hardwood and silver nodes in the eastern coastal area. But there are also bears there, so while you're at the coast, it has some good fishing and you can catch lobsters there if you're lucky. Notice that the band on the fishing minigame is much thinner for the lobster, and you can cancel and recast if you see a thick band and don't want to fuss with the cheaper fish. And when you're done fishing, head northeast, catch the boat to the island, and you'll find some nice herbs and ore. And if you're looking for deer and rabbits for quick meals, try the Old Forest area. You're going to want a lot of storage to hoard resources and loot. You can craft barrels with just wood, and these hold 16 items. Small chests hold 24, and large chests can store 32 items. But the chests cost iron and wood to make, and iron is precious, remember? You can also visit the merchants and buy various wardrobes that will hold 8 items each and just cost gold and not resources. While you're exploring, you'll find shimmering, fabled feathers scattered about. Take them southeast of your farm to Fernfoot's place. This is also where you can buy the iconic Mirthwood white unicorn, but it'll cost you 10,000 gold. Talk to Fernfoot and trade him 8 of your feathers for either an inventory expansion or unlocking a skill card slot. I only have the inventory expansion option because I have unlocked all 5 of my skill card spots, but I really need to unlock more storage for potions and healing items. Right now I have 8 spots and 8 are locked. I'll spend 8 feathers and 4 more potion inventory slots will be unlocked. So hoard your feathers, and anytime you have 8 or more, bring them to Fernfoot's place until you have your inventory and skill card slots fully upgraded. While we're on the subject of skill cards, here's how they work. As you gain more experience in melee, archery, farming, trades, charisma, which is from chatting with NPCs, and survival, you'll unlock new skill cards which offer some pretty sweet buffs, and you'll want to swap out your skill cards depending on what you're doing. For example, it's winter, so I don't need my cultivator card since nothing's growing, so I'll trade it for the craftsman card that reduces the materials I need for crafting. But once you change cards, that card slot is locked in for usually 1 day. I mostly leave my melee cards equipped because I do a lot of combat and suck at it, but I try to change these daily depending upon the activities I have planned. Here's another example. As I'm harvesting my corn, I'll equip my cultivator skill card, and then watch on the left how I begin harvesting numerous double crops. It's an extremely valuable system once you get the hang of it. Other than skill cards, a great way to reduce the intensity of the game is to go into the settings menu and check the options for easier combat and survival. I also have a crap ton of armor, and with this, the settings and the melee skill cards, I've been able to win all of my battles using only my sword. Upgrading to the hardwood bow is also a great way to make combat easier. A quick tip about NPC conversations is to mirror their conversation. If they're chatting about dumb stuff, do the same, and it seems to improve your relationship. More often than not, if I go off book and try something unproven, it backfires and reduces the relationship level. The more you talk to someone, the more you'll learn about the conversations they enjoy. When the soil turns a light tan color, it's time to water your crops. You can water a square of 4 crops at a time if you aim for the center of the grouping, and you don't need to refill the watering pot. The rain will water your crops and your crops will die at the end of the season, but it's not immediate. They'll linger a bit until the next season and provide a bit more harvest before they die, and you can use your sickle to chop them down. If you buy apple or pear trees, they don't need watered, and it'll take quite a while before they're fully grown and produce fruit in the summer for pear trees and fall for apple trees. Use the sign outside your house to make initial repairs, and once this is complete, go inside and interact with the wall sign to upgrade the floor and wall materials if desired. It took me a while to notice that you can click the upgrade menu and use hardwood and stone to add a second floor to your house, which will give you 3 additional rooms. Remember to check the shops in the towns you visit, as they'll have unique furniture. And finally, let's take a quick peek at the current Mirthwood Roadmap, which shows planned winter holiday content, and I'm curious what companions they might be adding. Dogs and cats, perhaps? Or did they have pet dragons in the Middle Ages? At the start of 2025, I'm super excited for a few of these, like funeral events? What? Can we kill off the dumb NPCs who don't laugh at our jokes? I hope so. And then we have marriage and children, which will add a ton of content, particularly for players like me who love that cozy crap. The mod support will open up so many possibilities of incorporating the creative community content into Mirthwood. Later in 2025, 2-player multiplayer is planned, as well as a DLC expansion, which leads me to believe a larger map perhaps, or some extra content beyond mere cosmetics. I know Mirthwood has had a bit of a rocky start in terms of FPS stuttering and people claiming it should have been an early access title rather than full release, but that's really just semantics. The bottom line is, Mirthwood is one of the most unique RPG farming and life sims I've ever played, with its gorgeous hand-drawn art and dark fantasy elements mixed with combat, cozy homesteading, quests, NPC interactions, and an underlying story that you discover through open world exploration. Yes, it still needs more optimization and polish, but the 2-person development team is pushing out frequent patches and has created a truly fantastic game, if you can make allowances for the initial hiccups, and I can't wait to see where they take Mirthwood in the coming months. Hopefully these Mirthwood tips and tricks helped you out. If so, and if you want to keep up to date on the latest, mostly chill and cozy games, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and now go shank some beasts in Mirthwood.